everybody. Welcome to this month's airing of the Female Film Critics panel. And we're really excited today because I have with me Katey Stoetzel. And thank you so much, Katey, for coming on and talking with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we'd like to do a new guest, get a chance to know you. And so why don't you introduce yourself and tell us, how did you get started in your love of movies?
Okay, so I'm Katey. I'm a film and TV critic for inbetweendrafts.com, which is a very new site. So you should go read it.
Yes.
once you're done watching this. I started like movies or criticism.
Just in movies. Do you remember the first movie you ever saw?
Oh gosh. No. do
What's
people
your first film memory that really made like an impact, a movie that you loved?
um gosh, I feel like there can be so many answers to this, I feel like. But I remember, I think this was in second grade, and it was like my birthday, and so I had everyone over for like a sleepover birthday party thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to watch. I can't remember if this was like the first time I was seeing it or if I had seen it and then wanted everyone else to watch it too. I can't remember that part. But I made everyone watch Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Okay.
And for some reason I remember that being like one of the first movies where I was like, this is a movie.
Yeah.
And I was way more invested in the movie than my friends, to be honest. I was like, I don't really care if all my friends are over here. I just want to watch this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of formative early experiences with film for me were kind of what I call sleepover movies, watching with my friends. I'm I think older than you. But for me, it was a lot of movies like The Cutting Edge, a lot of like kind of more cheesy rom-coms, which continues to this day to be something I love. But that was the kind of thing we would watch. Or sometimes The Little Mermaid, Disney. I've always been a huge animation fan my whole life. So Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, those were definitely up there. But yeah, girls just want to have fun. If we were being a little bit naughty, something like Dirty Dancing. My mom would never have allowed that, but maybe at a friend's house. When I was older, in high school, something like Clueless, I would love watching that with my friends. That was a favorite. She's All That, 10 Things I Hate About You, stuff like that.
Cool. Those are all good ones.
Yeah. I was always riding the rom-com train. Yeah, my parents didn't watch a whole lot of movies. They still to this day don't. And so it was more either something that maybe my brother recommended, like Monty Python or, something like that he liked, or something that I heard about from my friends. And Jurassic Park, that was very influential for me. I remember going to see it in the theater and I saw it 7 times in the theater. It still holds my record of the movie I've watched the most in the theaters.
I don't know if I know. Wait, I feel like I never go to the theater anymore. I think that's partly because of COVID and partly because everything just gets released onto whatever. But
streaming.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely saw. Oh, you know what? Don't ask me why I did this, but I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 4 times in the theaters.
Oh, wow. That's a long movie too.
I know. I don't really know why. For some reason, it was one that I was like, I want to keep watching this one. I don't know why.
I kind of have a joke about that movie that it's a lot of driving. There's a lot of scenes in the car.
There is. Yeah.
And occasionally they get out of the car and walk. There's a lot of walking, a lot of driving, and then on horseback occasionally. He loves transportation.
Yeah. I don't even like Tarantino that much. But for some reason,
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. So you said that you are the co-founder of In Between Drafts. Like, how did that all happen?
Well, it's a bit of a weird story. We were well, all of the editorial board for In Between Drafts wrote for theyoungfolks.com, which was a site that had been around for 10 years or so. And that was the first site that I started writing for right out of college. And then last year it just came time for that one to shut down. I think it had run its course. But we didn't want to stop writing. And so in 3 weeks' time, we created inbetweendrafts.com, and it's basically the same staff as the Young Folks.
Okay.
We just started a new one.
That's so
basically
cool.
What happened. Yeah.
So did you go to film school when first?
No, I did not. I went to Truman State University, which is in Kirksville, Missouri, which is a very small town near the Iowa border. And I majored in creative writing, and I was president of film club on Truman for like 3 years. So there was definitely that tie-in, but yeah.
What did you do for film club? Just like watch movies once a month or something like that?
Oh man, no. It took a long time to like get ourselves together. The point was to like make films, like short films and stuff. The problem was we never had consistent membership, so it was very hard to get a project going. But at some point, and I'm also not a very organized person, and me and my friend, who was the vice president of film club at the time, I think we just had a hard time getting projects going. But I think it was our junior year or senior year. I feel like it was senior year. So the last year we finally got our shit together, and there was like a new freshman person who was very organized, who was like, I can help you get organized. So basically we finally got organized, and we did make one short film that first semester. And then the next semester we did like a whole premiere thing for it, and was trying to get another film going. But at that point we were like
almost done.
We're almost done. We were tired. Last semester of senior year, it was like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So were you always thinking of going into criticism, or were you hoping to actually go into like film production, direction, film writing, that kind of thing?
Oh man, you're asking the hard question.
We dig deep.
Yeah. So yeah, the dream was always to like write for TV, actually. And I guess that's sort of the dream still, but you know what you have to do in order to do that? You have to actually write.
Yeah.
I did do a lot of like script writing in college. And it just didn't, work out yet. I will add the yet, but I've always been writing criticism since high school. Actually, I started writing for the school newspaper, and doing reviews and stuff. I actually think the first review I wrote was Tales of Beetle Bard book review, which
is from Harry Potter.
Yeah. Anyway, Harry Potter is very formative in my life, but complicated now.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of Rachel's reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a patron. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night, or even become a guest on the podcast. Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
Me, I was more for high school. I mean, I loved Clueless. That was very influential for me. That was my favorite in high school. But I was more into theater in high school. I mean, I'm a theater critic. I still love theater. And I still love musicals, whether on the screen or on the stage. And I was really, 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 really into Les Mis when I was in high school. The 10th anniversary concert that PBS did had come out fairly right around that time, and I knew literally every word to every song. If they had needed a swing to pop in for any part when I was in high school, I could have gone. And I saw it on Broadway when I was a freshman in high school, and we got the choice. We were on a choir competition trip, because I grew up in Maryland, so it wasn't like that far away from New York. And anyway, we had the choice of whether we would see Cats or see Les Mis. So I chose Les Mis.
Les Mis sounds like the better choice.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not a theater person, but yeah.
Yeah. You had said that you love dance numbers though on Twitter.
I did say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So would you consider yourself like a musical fan or just more of a song and dance person?
I mean, I don't mind musicals. I don't hate them like some film Twitter people do.
Right.
Because they're cynics. They're not like I'm never like, oh my gosh, like a musical. I think when I tweeted that about dance numbers, it's funny because I don't even like to dance. I'm not a very good dancer and very reserved. I'm definitely an introvert anyway. But I think like musicals are great and I like watching them. But when I tweeted that, what I was talking about, and this mostly comes from the TV world, but also in movies too, my favorite moments of dance numbers are in movies that are not musicals. And they just like show up. I think the best example of this is The Magicians TV show.
Oh.
I don't know if you've seen it, but they would randomly they started doing like random dance. It started off as random dance scenes or sequences.
Yeah.
They moved into doing like full episodes of music, like doing a musical episode as the seasons went on. And I loved it. I think they did actually, one of their first ones was a Les Mis dance number in season 2, I think.
Oh, cool.
I think it is like One Day More. Is that it? Yeah. It was that one. And it was used for like a battle scene.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was awesome. And then in season 3, they do a full musical number. And it's one of the best moments from that episode is using Under Pressure by Queen as like the final thing. And speaking of Under Pressure, After Sun from last year also uses that, another like movie which has like sort of it is a dance number, but it's not like a choreographed one, but like another good use of what I was talking about when I tweeted that.
Yeah. I noticed that you did cover a lot of television on the site, and I watch a lot of TV movies, but I don't have time to get invested in many shows. But yeah, and out of your top 15, there was only 2 that I see.
Oh, which one?
Heartstopper and Miss Marvel.
Okay, I actually haven't seen Miss Marvel, but I did see.
What's not on your list?
Yeah, but it's voted on by the staff. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We do like a ranked voting thing. So
yeah, the shows that I watch, most of them are because I covered them on Hallmarkies podcast that I have, but Sweet Magnolias, Bridgerton, Summer I Turned Pretty, Dairy Girls, I love that show. It's so funny. I finally last year gave up on Emily in Paris and Virgin River. We're just not good. So I didn't have time. Didn't have time for that nonsense. But yeah, I want to watch Acapulco. There were a couple other little shows hidden in there that I watched, but I just don't have a lot of time for television. It takes such an investment of your time. I mean, I loved Arcane, but that was more the year before.
Yeah, I didn't get into that one. But yeah, TV is in such a weird state right now. I love TV. I like covering TV more than I like covering films, to be honest. Like the state of TV right now is so weird. I hate binging shows.
I was going to ask you that. What do you think of the binging model?
Well, obviously, I think when it was starting to be a thing, I was like, oh my God, I can just go on to the next thing. How amazing.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, as like things kept getting canceled, over the years, it's because of the binging model. And because they just fall out of like public consciousness so fast, and word of mouth like stops dead. And word of mouth is how you watch a lot of shows. A lot of like the network stuff from like the mid 2000s or in the 90s too. My dog is at the window, so she might see something and start barking. Just
okay.
Fair warning. Anyway, so I hate it. Right now I like absolutely hate it, and that is because all of the shows that have been canceled in the past year, especially by Netflix, but also like HBO Max deleting and canceling shit, and like the most egregious thing right now, or egregious, words sometimes anyway, is when, I don't know if this used to be a thing, but I feel like I've been noticing it a lot more lately, where they greenlight another season of something and then they cancel it and change their mind, or they like greenlight it, film it, and then they cancel it.
Yeah, that's the craziest part to me, is when they and then they just decide to not air it for a tax write-off. Is bizarre. And it's really sad.
Netflix makes no sense to me anymore. They just drop a bunch of content on their platform without marketing it, and then they're like, oh, you didn't get enough numbers in the first month of you being available, so we're going to cancel you. That is so annoying.
Yeah. Well, and then they blame it on the price of the show, but it's like, that's your fault. If you had kept it under a reasonable budget, then like, don't blame them for you giving them too much of a budget.
Yeah. And I don't know what his name is, but I'm assuming it was like the president of Netflix or whatever said something about how we have not canceled a successful TV show. I'm like, yes, you have. What is your definition of successful? If people loved it and enjoyed it, that is successful. I know what they're counting as successful has to do with money and numbers, but like that is such a subjective term.
Well, yeah, and I feel like there used to be shows that network bosses kind of believed in and kept on, even if they weren't doing that well, because they knew they were a good show, and then eventually they would get the fandom, like Arrested Development or Seinfeld, or some of these other shows that started a little bit rough and then like built an audience.
Yeah, I miss the longevity of shows, or like their potential, because some shows don't hit their stride until like season 2 or season 3. A lot of shows that I watched growing up, like had, or maybe didn't watch while they were airing, but like came to it eventually because of word of mouth. They're like,
I would say that most shows, I would say the most shows that first season is a little bit rough. And definitely pilots, a lot of times feel really different than the rest of the show. But even something like The Office, the first season's they were trying too hard to be the British one.
Parks and Rec first season is not that great.
Right. Yeah. And so I even like The Simpsons, for example, the first season is kind of weird and really different than the rest of the show. And I mean, that's a show that keeps evolving. It's pretty big. It's actually more like 7-8 shows. you know, it has these different eras. People think, oh,
Mm.
but if you watch the show regularly, you know that there's really been completely different like eras and styles and everything of the show. So it's kind of only a 32-year or whatever it is now show in name only, in the sense that it's really quite different depending on when you watched. But yeah, it just took a little bit of time. And if you didn't have somebody who actually kind of believed in it, you know, we wouldn't still be having it for over 30 years. And I don't know, I think that that's a shame, because I think we miss out on a lot of really good stuff, because first of all, there's just so much content. I don't know if you saw that SNL skit today that was out there from last night about it was kind of like a Celebrity Jeopardy, but it was all about.
I watched that this morning. The Hollywood.
Yeah, did you see it? Yeah, it was
thing.
pretty. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I was dying when they were answering like from the 70s and the 80s. They like knew it immediately.
Right. Yeah.
Like all the biggest things in the 2020s, they didn't know what they were. I was like, that is a great joke.
Yeah, they're like, name 3 movies of the last 5 years, which of course you and I could do easily, but for the average person, they might struggle. My dad would struggle for sure.
Yeah. And it's not like that those movies are bad now, or TV shows are bad. It's just that there's so much shit.
Yeah, exactly. We have so much content. It's impossible. It's impossible. Even in like specific genres, it's impossible to watch everything. Like I know there's good rom-com type shows that I have, like Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. I really want to watch that show. I just completely missed it because, and I'm sure I will love it. It's got music, it's romance. I know I will love it, but I just missed it. And there's so many things like that.
Yep.
Which is frustrating. And even in the movies are a little bit easier because they're just a 2-hour commitment and you're done. But still, nobody can watch everything or review everything. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then let's talk about, well, one thing I noticed is your review of She Said was almost exactly like mine, which I really appreciated, because I didn't see that many people with the take that you and I had of like, yes, well made, well done, but it bothered me that Hollywood is giving themselves this pat on the back. Oh, good job. We got rid of this guy, when they were all promoting him and all congratulating him in all their speeches, working with him. I mean, even people like Jane Fonda came out and said that she didn't say anything, that she regrets not saying anything, that, and there's so many, of course, like that. And so I just felt kind of like, ugh. And I also felt like it was weird that they introduced Carey Mulligan's character as having like pretty severe postpartum depression. And then like, it's not really addressed again. It's like, oh, she solved it from working a lot, I guess. And I'm thinking, that's not the way it works. So I don't know. I had mixed feelings about it. I didn't love it.
So here's the thing. I did cry during the movie. There are some very powerful performances in it.
Yeah,
and
I was surprised they didn't push Jennifer Ellie as supporting, because I thought she was the best part as the
which one
primary victim. She was the primary victim, the one that came out at the end who had cancer.
Oh yeah.
She was really good. I thought.
And then I don't remember the actress's name, and she was only in one scene, but it was that diner scene in London.
Yeah,
Zahn's character, she was great in that one.
She was good.
Scene.
I agree.
So those like moments made me cry, but like, as soon as the movie's over, Brad Pitt's name pops up as a producer.
Right.
You're like, what the fuck?
Like, that's a little awkward.
This is so hypocritical. And I know I know this isn't the only hypocritical movie like this, but like the timing of it was just so bad. I was like, stuff about Brad Pitt has been coming out for a while, and this is what he's producing. It was just so weird. It's so weird because it ends on like that moment where they hit publish on the thing, and it's like, oh yay, they're heroes, and you know, this started a movement. I'm like, well, the movement dies as soon as someone like Brad Pitt's name is up on this thing.
Yeah.
I feel
well,
like.
and also they present themselves as heroes, but then like certain people that were the actual heroes, like Rose McGowan, have never been able to like kind of resurrect their careers from that, and so I don't know, just the whole thing annoyed me about that.
Also the timing of the movie coming out, like Carey Mulligan's character also presented as a hero, obviously, but around the time the movie came out, that reporter had published an anti-trans article in the New York Times. Yeah,
I didn't know about that. Yeah. I mean, I would personally rather, I think that Promising Young Woman is like tackles similar issues, and I thought it was better. But if you're going for Carey Mulligan, if you're going for Carey Mulligan, I would pick that. But nevertheless, I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, sorry, because I felt like nobody was really saying that.
I know, and then I saw some people.
I was glad to see your review
about the Oscar nominations. I kept seeing people tweeting about how she said was like, what was the term?
Snubbed.
Yeah, snubbed from it. I was like, why do people want this nominated? That would be so weird.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Whatever.
Right. Well, how did you feel about 2022 in movies in general?
I was very bad about watching 2022 movies in 2022. Again, like I've been a TV editor for a website for like almost 2 years now, and so when I pivoted to that, my focus went more towards TV and covering TV. So I've been very bad about watching movies lately. However, I am still part of critics groups, so when it comes to awards season, I'm like, okay, I've got to catch up. So I ended up watching most of all the ones I needed to watch to vote.
Yeah, how'd you feel about the awards contenders?
There's like speaking of like Oscar nominations, there's like really only, I feel like there's only like 4 or 5 that I really like and I'm like excited about.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a pretty underwhelming batch. I remember just going through the screeners and just not finding a lot that I loved. There were quite a few animated films that I loved, but that's kind of my niche.
That's the strongest category for me.
Yeah, which is interesting because the Disney movies weren't that great, but I really loved the Puss in Boots sequel. I loved Marcel the Shell, the Shoes On. I loved the Guilty Pleasures Pinocchio. That was great. So there was really quite the Bad Guys I thought was really fun. So it was a strong group for animation. But as far as the live action contenders, I did actually really enjoy the Avatar, The Way of Water. I really liked that. And Top Gun Maverick and RRR. Those are probably my favorite of the contenders. I really liked Decision to Leave, which didn't end up getting anything. That would be my snub if I was going to say a snub. But what were you said there were 5 that you kind of like, around 5?
I think there's 5. I need to look on a list, but like on the top of my head, well, I love Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I'm That's good fun. If that one sweeps. Like I will be so happy if that does. But like then I feel like there's just a massive drop off from that to like everything else for me. I didn't really like Top Gun Maverick. I didn't see Avatar. I liked RRR. What else is on the list?
Yeah, I mean there's like Banshees.
Oh yeah, I did like Banshees. Yeah, I like that one.
I liked it until the fingers. I just felt like there's no way this guy's gonna do that. That was just too much. It was too much for me.
It's like a fable.
And then the donkey maybe. I was like, what?
It's like a fable tall tale type thing, which is why I liked it. I in college I took a Irish literature class, and we read a lot of stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, I like this.
It had some. It did make me laugh, and it had some good performances. So I understand that one. Let's see what else. I wasn't a big fan of The Fabelmans. I didn't love it.
Oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, okay.
It felt kind of phony to me. I don't know. I
I
thought I
didn't
was gonna really like it, but
I didn't really like anyone's performances except the main
yeah.
kid.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I liked that ending with John Ford, with David Lynch playing John
Yeah,
Ford. That was the best part of the movie, in my
and the
opinion.
funny thing with the camera at the end. That was
Mhm.
hilarious. I like
Yeah.
that.
What else is out there? A woman talking. Did you see that?
I actually haven't seen that one yet.
Mhm.
I want to watch it though.
Yeah.
I haven't got around to
It
it.
was when I saw it at New York Film Festival, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be kind of preachy, and it's going to be, but actually, then when I actually saw it, there was more nuance to it than I expected, and I have talked to a lot of people. A lot of my critics friends have read the book, and they all seem to agree that it is like way better than the book. So I think that Sarah Polley did a good job of like updating it and adapting to it. And of course the cast can't be beat. Amazing cast. So yeah, it was actually pretty good. Pretty good.
Cool.
And Elvis, what did you think? Did you see Elvis?
I cheated on this one. I saw like most of it, maybe like half of it. My parents had it on one day and I had gone over to their house. So I just sat there and like watched it from whenever I caught it to the end. And yeah, I'm just kind of tired of music biopics.
Yeah, I can understand that. I thought they tried to kind of make it a little bit different, give an energy to it that you don't see that often. They tried to answer, I think, some of the controversial parts of his career. I know some people still weren't happy about that, but I appreciated the attempt at least to kind of talk about that. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty exciting and visceral, and the filmmaking was exciting. It's probably similar to Rocket Man, I think, in energy and feel.
I love Rocket Man. So
Rocket Man
maybe I
was
should
really
like sit
good.
down and actually watch it instead of half of it in the middle.
It's definitely too long. It definitely feels bloated, like so many movies these days, but I really enjoyed it. I actually haven't seen Triangle of Sadness yet. I need to see that.
Yeah, that was the other one I hadn't seen either.
Yeah. I was just glad that The Whale and Babylon didn't get included because they were not for me. Not for me. The Whale was so bad.
I hated The Whale. And I'm like, I like Brendan Fraser as much as the next person, but I don't think, I just wish this wasn't the movie that like brought him back.
Same. You know? I just feel like the whole thing needed more humanity. The way everybody treated each other, especially the daughter, just felt like it was so cold. And I'm like, what are we supposed to take from this experience? Just like, it's just pathetic and sad. And I don't know. I hated it. I thought it was terrible.
So many like topics into it too. And I'm like, none of it is done with any nuance.
I just felt like it was wallowing in misery for misery's sake. Like there wasn't anything kind of edifying or interesting or something I could take with my life, or just like, what's the point? Why are we having this miserable experience together? Why?
Yeah. And I don't like, and I think it has a lot to do with the material of it. I don't think his performance is an Oscar like worthy performance.
I agree.
I think like he's fine and he's good even, I guess, but I think it's the material that just doesn't, I don't know. It's it's just I was mad watching it. I was like, they're throwing so much into this with like there's no point.
Yeah, I felt like it was like watching an extended suicide. Like, what are we taking from this? Like, what's the point?
Yeah, but
so mad, like especially the teenager. I just thought she was like, I am so tired of TV shows and movies where all the teenagers are like sulking, miserable people with like nothing to offer. And I understand that being a teenager is hard and it's a tough time. And I remember struggling and not getting along with my parents and things like that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like a monster. I mean, I don't know, I'm just so tired. Like we need teen stories. That's what's so great about Heartstopper, like a teen story where there was heart and humanity and I don't know.
And the
We
fact
need more
that
of that.
he's basically fighting for her humanity the whole time when no one is giving him like
Yes.
like fighting for his humanity. Like,
yeah, there's a few moments with the sister-in-law character.
that was like probably the best relationship,
Yeah,
but still, I don't know.
it was just I don't know, masochistic, I thought.
We in my critics group, we also had it not we have like best LGBTQ film of the year category, and we had it in there, and I was like, why? Just because the character is gay doesn't mean it's a good LGBTQ story. Like,
I agree.
It's just like misery on top of misery, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Why?
I agree. I was so glad that didn't get nominated for Best Picture.
Me too. I'm like, I'm fine with him getting nominated, but beyond that, and didn't she get nominated too? The actress who played
Hong Chow did. Yeah, which she did a good job. I would have rather have her get nominated for The Menu. I thought I just like that movie so much better.
She was great in that. Yeah,
it was really good. But you just covered Virtual Sundance, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So how many movies did you end up seeing?
I'm still covering it, actually.
They're still allowing you access?
No, I just haven't finished writing reviews.
Oh, right. Okay. Same when I just finished yesterday. I just did my.
I only ended up watching 10, which I had like 23 on my list. I should have known that was unrealistic because I didn't take any PTO for it. I was basically working an 8-hour workday and then going home and then watching movies.
Right.
And then not having any time to write about them, which is why I'm still writing, because of the way they had them. The way they had the virtual festival set up was they would like release a batch of movies at like 9:00 on one of the days in the morning, and then they're available for 72 hours. But then like the next day, the next batch would be released. So it's just like a bunch of movies whose access was slipping away, and I didn't have time anyway.
Yeah, I ended up watching 21.
Wow.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
I watched 3 online that I just purchased because I didn't get in as press this year, which was a bummer. But I did purchase 3. So I basically ended up seeing 2 movies a day, every day for the festival.
Nice.
So that wasn't too bad. I know a lot of people that watched like over 45 movies, a lot of my critic friends. And I'm just like, how do you do that?
I've been in person to Sundance twice, and it was in 2018 and 2019. In the first year, I stayed for the whole thing because it was my first time there. I wasn't working the job I'm working now, so I had the time to be gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think I only saw, even though I was there for 2 weeks, I only saw 9 movies.
Oh, wow.
But it was because I had the working press badge, which means you have to stay in the wait list line and like see if you can get in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you can only
I heard that that is not very like helpful.
It's not. You can
It's
only
really
be in
not.
one line at a time, obviously. So,
Mhm.
but still, it was a great experience. Anyway,
I
and
just can't imagine watching over 40 movies, not only in 10 days, not only that, but they're like Sundance movies. They're kind of heavy and, like deep. uh, Like I do that during the Christmas season. I watch 4 to 6 movies a day,
Mhm.
but they're like TV movies. So they're only about 80 minutes. And they're like Christmas, fun little Christmas
Yeah.
movies. So like, I don't know. I just can't imagine. I don't know how they do it. The most I've ever done is 27, which is a lot. That was but I ended up disliking a lot of them. And now, because last year it was a virtual festival.
Mhm.
I just did not like hardly anything from Sundance this year. I mean, last year. And this year's the opposite. I liked almost everything that I saw, at least to like some level.
Mhm.
And even the one that I didn't like hate it. I don't know. So
Mhm.
I was pickier this year, and I really tried, because I had the locals pass, which is the
Yeah.
only way to do Sundance as far as I'm concerned.
Mhm.
Because if you have the locals pass, you can go right up, you can go into anything you want to see that's in Salt Lake. So I was never at Park City, I was in Salt Lake. And so it's so nice because you don't have to decide what you're going to see. As far as when you get a ticket package, you have to decide.
Uh-huh.
So you might end up picking terrible things.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I'll ever even go if I don't get the locals pass. It's the only way I'm interested in doing it. Because you could hear about something that day and be
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm going to go see it.
Yeah.
And anyway, but my favorite of the festival was Judy Bloom Forever, the documentary. Did you get a chance to see that?
I didn't know, but
I
I've
mean, on the surface, it's just like a simple get to know this famous person, documentary,
Yeah.
like we've seen many times. But what blew me away about it, and I wouldn't even say I'm like a huge fan. I'm not a fan. I just haven't read that many of her books. But what amazed me is these letters. She had thousands of letters that she got from teenagers and children over the years, and
Mhm.
then some people that she would correspond with regularly and back and forth for sometimes over a decade. And I just thought that was incredible. Like, it blew me away, these letters. I just can't believe that people wrote her these like incredibly personal stuff that, I guess there must be something kind of therapeutic about writing to a total stranger that you feel like you connect with because of the
Yeah.
books. But the fact that she wrote them back, and that I just thought that whole was so impressive. It really reminded me of the Fred Rogers doc, which I loved a
Mhm.
couple of years ago.
Oh yeah. I forgot
Yeah,
about
that was so good. But then I also loved You Hurt My Feelings with Julie Louis-Dreyfus. I thought that was so funny.
I didn't see that one either.
Yeah, yeah. What was your favorite that you saw?
Um, to be honest, I don't think any of them stood out as much as some from like previous Sundances.
Mhm.
But I think in my top were theater camp.
Yeah,
The
that's
last
one of
one
my
I
favorites too.
the last one I watched was The Stroll, and that was
Oh, I
really
didn't see
good.
that.
And I really like The Eight Mountains as well, and Polite Society.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was a little messy, I thought, but I still
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And I liked the fact that they made her kind of bad at everything that she was doing until like the pivotal moment, of course. But I thought that was funny. I think that I wrote in my review that I think people that really love Everything Everywhere All at Once will enjoy Polite Society.
Yeah, I think it was after I watched that movie is when I tweeted the dance tweet.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
there was a dance number in that, and I was like,
Yeah.
yes.
It just seems like they have similar energies about them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I would say so.
Yeah. Another one that I loved was Flora and Sun. I don't think this was available virtual. I
It
think was
wasn't. I was actually at first I thought everything was available online. And then
Yeah.
there was like a few I like wanted to see, and then it was like not available online.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Well, and Flora and Sun was added really late too.
yeah. But I think there was more available online this year than there was last year. I remember last year, and actually I didn't get I didn't get a press badge last year for Sundance, so I was trying to like buy some basically,
Yeah.
so and like reaching out to people for tickets, but
well, last year they didn't
accessing.
do in person, but there was a bunch that opted out of the festival rather than do the virtual.
But they did it in person last year.
Mm-mm.
In
No.
2022?
No, they didn't. They canceled it last minute, which was very frustrating, because all of us that had spent our money on passes, and they were going to try to not give us our refund, which was ridiculous. And they were like, "You can make it a donation." I'm like, "What?" And so yeah, I ended up having to go through Wells Fargo to get a refund, which is crazy.
Am I
But
just not remembering that? Or maybe I'm thinking of South by there being like a lot of things that were only available in person
I
and
can't
not
remember
online.
if South by Southwest was just
It was in-
virtual or not, but
It was in
yeah, it was
person.
because it was right when the Omicron thing was happening
Oh,
for Sundance, and so I just felt like it was wrong of them because they had known about that way sooner, and
mhm.
to wait until 2 weeks before when everybody had their accommodations and their everything. Like if we're willing to take the risk, like we know everything and you've done
Mhm.
everything to keep it safe. I did not agree with it, but especially to not give us refunds. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, not giving you
Eh,
refunds. Yeah.
like what? Uh,
I
but
I really miss actually I covered 2021 Sundance, and I think that was one of the best festivals actually, even the
it
one
was really good
in
virtual
person.
festival.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did that so well of like trying to like make it you know, make sure
Yeah.
what you can benefit from being in person and moving it online, like all of the um
Yeah. They even gave
networking
out to some
technology.
press, they gave out a virtual reality
Yeah.
headsets things. My friend Kristen got one
Oh,
to
that's
really
cool.
like feel like you're there in the panel.
Yeah,
They
but
really thought of everything that year.
that was so cool, and I covered a lot that year, and yeah, I'm like, and then I'm glad that like festivals are still offering a virtual option because
Yeah.
I think that's
South
just how it should be. Like not
Yeah.
everyone can get in person, but like, I do. But now that they're in a more hybrid, I do think they prioritize in person stuff. So then the virtual stuff kind of gets like
Yeah.
left. But
I know South by Southwest isn't doing virtual this year. They're just doing in person, which is a bummer.
that's dumb. Like
And I think TIFF, did they? I don't think they did last year, or they didn't
they
do
did.
much.
They
Uh,
it was offered virtually because I think
oh,
I
was it?
covered some things. Yeah.
Because I didn't end up going to TIFF or in any way because I was at D23 and they were at the same time. But I
Mm.
hope to go this year because D23 is every other year.
Mm.
So it's not going to be this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting. I felt like of the films at Sundance, there was a lot of films about family
Mhm.
and kind of families getting, whether it was Applied Society or the Persian version or Flora and Sun. There were just a lot of films about sort of unique families, different families. You Hurt My Feelings is about a marriage and a family. And then I also thought there were a lot of kind of bittersweet romances this
Mhm.
year. Something like Shortcomings or Past Lives. Flora and Sun would also categorize there. Oh, Fairyland would be another family story. There were a lot, and Past Lives was interesting to me because I think it's really well done, and I understand why it got a lot of praise out of the festival. It's very well acted, very well done, but I found it extremely stressful to watch. And maybe it's just because
Mhm.
I'm a traditional rom-com lover, and so when she cause it's about this, for people listening, it's about this woman who ends up reconnecting with her not high school, her childhood crush, and who comes over from Korea. and she's married, and her husband was so fun. I loved her husband. And so the whole time I'm watching, I'm just like, don't cheat on your husband. Don't cheat on your husband. Please don't cheat on your husband. And it was so stressful. And she doesn't, spoiler alert, I guess, but she makes the right decisions. But I found that even though I thought it was very well done, I found the whole experience to be very stressful. It's like, no. Anyway.
I missed that one. I didn't get to that one.
But I think I'd actually enjoy it more in the second watch, because now I know, so maybe I just made it more enjoyable for all of you listening. I won't be as stressed as I was. And there was another family movie, the Minister, the one with Penelope Cruz. That was a family movie. Blueback was about a family, mother and daughter. So Aliens Abducted My Parents. That's a family movie.
I had that one on my list and I didn't get around to it. I was so mad.
It was good. I liked it, and it's fun because it's filmed all right here in Utah. So that was
cool.
That was fun for me. But yeah, it's interesting when you see these kind of trends, and it'll be interesting to see how. I'm always fascinated about Sundance, because you never know how, when it's released in everywhere, how people will think about them. That will it be just in this Sundance bubble that it's kind of loved, or will it be embraced like Everything Everywhere All at Once was?
Yeah. I really liked The Eight Mountains, and I feel like that sort of got mixed reviews, but
yeah, I didn't see that one.
Did you didn't see that one?
Mm-mm.
It's a little long, and I think the beginning is a little bit slow, but once you get to like the older versions of them, it's really cool. And I really liked it's about two friends who kind of have a falling out over the years, and then they like meet back up later in the same town that they met. And their falling out was kind of like, it was kind of like went with a fizzle, but they never stayed in contact with each other. And then they have to like build this house together in the mountains.
I didn't see that one.
I say his name wrong, but Luca Marinelli. He's from the Old Guard. I love him. But he's in it, and I loved his character because I thought it was a good, cool like representation of people who are like in their late 20s, like mid 30s, who still haven't figured life out, which is okay. But he's like definitely like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't know. I really liked that because I feel like, I don't know. I just hadn't seen a movie like that in a while.
Yeah.
I'm always like, in your late teens, early 20s, you need to figure stuff out. Like,
right.
It's not always true. And so, and then it was about their friendship too. And I don't know. I really liked it.
Yeah. Well, the other one that I loved was Radical. I've always really enjoyed Eugenia Derbez, even something like the Overboard remake. I just think he's very, very likable and charming. And it wasn't like new as far as the story. We've seen all these inspirational teacher stories before, but I thought it was very well executed, very well done. I thought all the kids were really good actors, and I just really thought it was moving and a good story. Yeah.
You said you liked Theater Camp, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's my number 4 favorite.
I think that's definitely at the top for me.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
It was so funny.
It took me a while to realize it was a fake documentary because I don't think they did any like interview shots. Which I feel like most mockumentaries do, like the what do they call them? Just like the interview portions of it, like The Office and Parks and Rec. I don't think this movie did any of that. So then I was like, oh yeah, this is a fake documentary. But it was so funny.
And I guess like a huge portion of it was improv, which can be terrible. It can really backfire, but they did a good job. These people are all pros.
The only thing about it, I really wanted more of Io's character. She was just kind of there, and I was like, I want more.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was
so it was a really interesting Sundance. Very good. I would say a very strong year for me at least. and I don't know if I was just in a better mood than last year. I don't know. But anyway, we had kind of already talked about unpopular opinions and things that we had. So, but we like to end with talking about something that you're proud of, something that you wrote or maybe a podcast you did or whatever that you think that was good. I did a good job with that one. Well, do you have any that came up that you were thinking of?
Okay, I am gonna do a plug, and I am proud of this, although it's very new. We only have one episode out, and I have the second episode in my Google Drive and I need to get it posted. But over at In Between Drafts, we have a TV podcast called Between TV, and it's a monthly podcast, so we don't come out super often. And it's because I don't have time to commit to anything else. But we do talk about like what's the biggest thing in TV for that month. But also we're gonna have like a bunch of other types of episodes. Like the one that's about to come out is a segment we want to keep doing, which is called New to Me TV. And this is like a branch off of people come to TV shows at their own time. Don't listen to Netflix when they're like, you need to watch everything within the month that they come out. I'm like, that's not how it works. Okay. So these are new to me TV shows, and me and my co-host talk about the things that we've watched. That are probably like older things or things we just discovered, that kind of stuff. So
I've had a lot of fun covering older shows. I during the pandemic, my friends and we covered The Nanny. We called it the Fran Cast, and I was a huge fan of that show growing up, and so it was really fun to revisit it it was like the perfect project for the pandemic. And then lately I've been revisiting Drop Dead Diva, which was a show that I loved. And so it's been fun to rewatch that and recapping it for Hallmarkie's podcast. So sometimes if it's new, if you've never seen it, then it's new to you, as you say. So that's very good. That's just like a little silly thing, but I was trying to think of some way that my coverage of Sundance could stick out and be unique. And you know how much I loved Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. It was one of my favorite movies of 2022. And I have this little Marcel figurine. So I thought it would be fun to basically have Marcel go to Sundance and give Marcel's response to the movies. And I'm no Jenny Slate. I'm not going to pretend to be, but I had a lot of fun like doing that and coming up with it. And I thought it was pretty creative coverage. So I was proud of that.
That's cool. Like a flat Stanley.
Yeah, that's right.
I loved Marcel too. That I was like pleasantly surprised by that. I was not expecting it to be so funny.
Me too. And so heartwarming when he finds his family. Oh
yeah.
I loved it. So good. That was something. It's hard to think of something that will be fun. You know, that I was kind of hoping that it might like get picked up and go viral a little bit because I just thought it was creative, but it didn't, which is fine. But it's hard to think of something creative that you could do that hasn't been done to death on social media at least. Anyway, well, very good. Well, thanks so much for coming on and talk with us. This was a lot of fun. And why don't you tell people how they can follow you on socials and your site and everything?
You can find me on Twitter at Katey Pretzel. Like pretzel, like the salty snack. And then Katey is spelled Katey, not IE. That's a different kind of Katie. And then the website is inbetweendrafts.com.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And make sure you also follow Hallmarkie's podcast. We've got lots of fun stuff going on over there. And I'll put the playlist for all the female film critics panels episodes in the description. So make sure you check that out. And you can follow you can follow me on social media. And then also, if you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps a lot. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is a lot of fun, and the merch store where you can get the Female Film Critics Panel logo merch on there, which I just think is a real cool logo. So check that out. And thanks again, Katie. This was so much fun to get to know you better. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.